the place where Solveig should be the most secure, in a a very nicely like a little, I want to say drawing room, which is an old term in English. It's a place where you sit and play cards and smoke cigars with other people of your status, and they don't really have them anymore in houses, but he has one that looks like it would be just right from 200 years ago. He has one in his areas where he stays, and there's no electronics in his entire area at all. He has not. In this private section where he has his place, it's old school. And so right there, next to the teak wood card table, and underneath the bottles, which in some other place would contain brandy and good 300-year-old wine, well, they contain fluids, all right, and some of them are very old, but they are not brandy and wine. And so, but right there beneath that rack of bottles in this beautifully lit little area, this room, is a twisted, stinking, burned remains of Solveig. With the actual vapors still rising off of his flesh. Now, you have blood sympathy for Nora. If you spend a point of willpower, yes, if you spend a point of willpower, you can actually analyze the condition of a relative's vitae.
What do you mean, like under?
For example, maybe what happens to it, or what is the condition of the body at this time?
Let's do that.
Okay. He's in torpor. He has not died the final death. He is in torpor. The body is so destroyed by what seems to be the effect of sunlight. Now, he, at blood potency 6, is very vulnerable to sunlight. But this looks like he had just been blasted with the direct rays of the noon sun. I mean, as if he had been just caught in this blast of sunlight, and it's midnight in his lair.
I think we were in contact earlier that evening, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this just happened. I mean, happened after sundown. But the good news is that he is in torpor, which means he's not died the final death. The only way that he will, he can be brought out of torpor with the donation of vitae, but it has to be a really powerful vampire who does that, like blood potency 8, which you are not, and you don't even know any vampires like that. So it is, it would take a hell of a lot to actually wake him up. And right now, torpor in his, at his status, is about 10 years.
So we can like put him in the fridge and then
exactly.
if we find...
Or as what was it Mary Tyler Moore said, or no, who was it? Some famous actress said, just put me out there in the garbage can in the street, just stands me up and put my hat on. Right?
But we can like...
Well, hold on, you're not there. I want Nora, who this is her sire and her mentor. I want to know, Odin, what do we have going on here?
Well, she got instantly very concerned. Kind of both the desire like is gone, which she has a strong bond to, but also like how could the sun like affect him in his lair? Like we didn't notice anything like foreign interaction or like on the way to the. We didn't notice any interference.
You have two vampires right there who are particularly good at investigation. Both of you are super good at investigation. So if you are starting to say, wait a minute, what looks funny around here? What's going on? What's wrong? What if you start looking in that kind of investigative way, we are going for rolls.
Yes.
And I think this will finish our evening, by the way, even though I'm not as exhausted as I thought I would be, but I better stop soon because I will collapse. So let's take a look at some rolls. Nathan and Odin, what sort of direct approach do you want to take?
Oh, aspects comes in really handy to this.
Investigations looks fine. I don't have the specialization yet, but I will have one for specialization or investigation at some point.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good time to ask. I want a specialization in investigation that is related to tracking people.
Right. That's fine. Yeah, you can say location. Yeah.
Location? Okay, that's fine. Can I use it for this role?
No, you cannot, because this is not, it's a great specialization for you and your character. It just happens not to apply right this minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So intelligence and investigation for you. And Odin, did I hear you say aspects?
Yeah, I just really like cross-referencing the abilities to know which level.
I will be, let me quickly go back here into our
I think it's uncanny perception that becomes relevant.
Right. Well, they have the little equation for everything written quite nicely. So I just have to find the right spot, but I have to be nice to the pages in this book, so I can't get there fast. So
129.
Yes, there we go. Okay, perfect. So is this uncanny perception? Or
I think it's the most.
Yeah. Okay. And so, or if do you have 2 dots or 3? Because the spirit's touch is not so bad.
I don't have it.
Oh, okay. If only I had the spirit's touch. Yes. So, in that case, we are talking about intelligence plus empathy plus auspex. And
you will agree, even though there's nothing alive, it
does say
become more like go.
I am reading the text in a way that means it will apply.
Yes.
It will apply. You have, especially if you have some successes on the investigation, and I assume the two of you will talk to each other, then the two things kind of go together in a useful way.
Can you repeat to me what I'm supposed to roll? I'm
yes, you should take your intelligence dice dots, and you take your investigation dots. Yep. And then if you want to spend a point of willpower for 3 more, then...
Okay, no. Right. Okay, perfect. Thank you. 8 dice.
And Odin, intelligence plus empathy plus auspex and willpower does count. This is your first time using it in the scene, so you do not have to spend vitae.
Yes, I know. And did I get the dice for willpower also, did you say, Ella?
If you want, yes. Yeah.
Okay, 2 successes.
Okay, thanks, Nathan. Let's see how Nora does.
Like we stole all the successes.
I was going to say, you guys had something like a 70% success rate on your dice, which is ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think I will like spend willpower. I think I probably will spend willpower because it's concerning her sire.
Yeah,
so
this is a big deal for you. Yeah.
Let's see. I have some dice. More, so it's 11.
Yeah.
I think I roll them in batches, so because of the small space.
Right.
Let's see.
I'm going to have to put some resistance into some of these that will give you penalties. I should have put one. I should have put some resistance into this die. I just realized that. In fact, I just might.
Yes.
Odin?
I'm
Still counting. Yes.
as I said, 2 batches I rolled
Yeah.
just because.
Mhm.
And the 2 10s.
Okay.
3 successes.
3. Okay. So, the two of you together.
So I get 3 answers.
Well, I'm not quite sure if it is. I'll have to look at that. I closed the book too fast, in terms of the precise. Let me quickly go back to it. 129. That's a handy page with all the aspects we have going on in this game with 2 mechets. I better know that page. There. And success. Yes, 1 question per success. It should include the imagery conjured by the beast to convey the answer. Now, what is very helpful is that you have Nathan's successes or Hans's successes as well, because he has investigated the many physical details that are very technical about the situation in which this happened. So, ask me your questions.
What happened?
No. Let Odin come up with them. They have to be a lit. I mean, if you the more general the question, the more literal my answer will become, which isn't very helpful. Right.
So
what is the truth?
Yeah, that's right. No, the only answer to that is it's out
42.
there. It's out there. Right.
42.
Was there some type of confrontation or conflict or encounter thing?
Yes. Absolutely. So let me answer that. Yes, that at this point, Solveig had actually invited an entity into this room, and it was not a person. It was a being that only existed in the shadowy corners of the room. And so Solveig had actually basically called it here and was attempting to dominate it. So there was a clash of will, a clash of priorities.
Mm.
You can.
See. Hmm. I think like regarding the sunlight thing, but it's more how to word it.
Mm-hmm.
Like how, I mean, like how did it appear, or what was the like origin point of it? You will describe.
Where did the sunlight come from? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I can answer that one.
Or how did the body became affected,
Yeah.
like the sun?
Mm-hmm. Actually, Solveig had somehow stored an amazing amount of sunlight inside him in some way. And so there was some forbidden order Dracul sunlight mastery covenant of the of the ascendant, or the coils of the ascendant, that had actually captured this. And now that it actually had been supposed to be used for this experiment, and that it
Mm.
blasted forward out. I mean, it was unleashed and burnt his body from the inside outward instead of from the outside in. And also, it was absorbed. This entity absorbed it.
The last question. Should we check on what Hans have discovered or noticed, so and can maybe sense is a question on?
Sure. One thing.
Well, I guess,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, as it was like questions per success, but I can think of another one in the meantime. If you.
Yeah. So what Hans has discovered is that there has been clearly Solveig had been using some of his equipment here. It looks like a nice cultured place for gentlemen to smoke cigars, but it is actually more like a laboratory once you examine it a little bit and recognize that he had made use of some storage of vitae in a bottle, which is not supposed to be possible. And that he actually had used this ancient vitae to provide power to this thing, um, and that he had actually performed kind of a ritual. Of course, it's not very magical. It's not occult. It is more like a
Pseudoscience.
yeah. Well, I was thinking. Yeah, it was more like exactly. It was more like some sort of symbolic use of this vitae but it brought it here. He was able to
The
bring this
symbolic
thing.
use, but
Mm-hmm.
there was some sort of external reaction
Right.
to
Right.
it,
Exactly.
if we prescribe it.
So this thing came from somewhere. Yeah. So you could ask what it is or where it came from or anything like that.
Is it connected to what I have researched?
Strangely.
Like,
Strangely enough, that's a good guess. Yes, it is. It is that thing.
is that thing?
All right, everybody. Will a beat for both Odin for Nora and for Hans for using willpower. Each of you get another beat.
I did not.
I have.
Oh, you did not use willpower? Okay.
No.
Okay, but Nora did. And so you get
Yes, I have.
uh-huh. And then
I have
also, yeah.
noted.
Mhm. and then everybody gets a beat for finishing this session.
Quick question: what happens when we have the 5 beats?
You get 1 experience point.
Ah, okay. Thanks.
I think they use beats as a method of pacing
Yeah.
XP instead of having like high amounts for
Right.
simple things. It's
And
Okay.
control space.
different
Makes sense.
applications can also set up different reward systems for what you get them for. We're using the pretty generic one.
Okay.
It has like system for like motivating you to gain beats.
Right.
Okay.
I think that that's a little bit too operant conditioning for me. So I like the more generic, just use willpower. Good enough, So anyway, good night, everybody. This was actually kind of Henna, do you have a question? You are looking thoughtful. No? Okay. But anyway, thank you very much. This was I don't know how this is going to sound, but this was a lot more fun than I expected. So I'm kind of intrigued by our cities at night thing going on.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye. Good night. Bye.
Bye.